Today, April 1st, and into the early hours of April 2nd, the Sun in Aries moves into an exact conjunction with the North Node. And if you are watching this, you are standing at the edge of something you have been approaching for a very long time. Not days, not months, a very long time. The North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra have been turning the karmic axis of your relationships for over a year. But this, the Sun moving into direct alignment with the North Node, this is the moment the light finally hits the door you have been painting over, and you have painted over it so many times. Every coat a different reason to stay, to wait, to make it work, to be the person who holds things together. Tomorrow that door becomes visible again, and this time something in you already knows it opens. You have been exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix. You have woken at some strange hour, 2 in the morning, 3 the hour before dawn, when the house is quiet and the rest of the world is still somewhere far away. And the exhaustion is not in your body. It is behind your eyes. It is in the space between your ribs. It is the tiredness of someone who has been carrying something for so long that they have forgotten what their hands feel like empty. And when you lie in the dark, what comes is not anxiety exactly. It is a question, not dramatic. Quiet and insistent. The question does not have words yet, but you feel its shape. It is the shape of something that has been true for longer than you have been willing to admit. This is not a crisis arriving. This is a recognition. Keep watching, because before this video ends, I am going to explain exactly why this specific convergence in the sky on April 1st and 2nd is connected to a pattern that has been running in your life since before you knew to name it. The Sun meeting the North Node in Aries is not just another transit. It is a direct activation of the karmic thread woven through every relationship you have ever found yourself unable to leave cleanly. I will show you why. Stay with me. Take a moment right now and know that you are watching this alongside thousands of other people who are feeling the same thing. That may sound like a marketing phrase. It is not. The nodal axis does not discriminate. It moves through everyone, but it speaks with particular volume to the people who have been doing the work of examining their relational patterns. If you are here, you are one of those people. You have been doing that work even in the weeks when it didn't feel like work but like survival. You are not alone in what is stirring. If this is landing somewhere real for you, somewhere in the chest, somewhere in the quiet, leave a comment below with the words, "I see the door, that is all, it is enough." It names where you are. Like this video if it speaks to something true, and subscribe so the next time the sky does something significant, you are here for it. Now let us go deeper. What you have been feeling in the days leading up to this is not random. It has a shape, and the shape is very specific, and I want to describe it to you in a way that makes you feel less alone inside it. The first thing is the fatigue that I already mentioned, but I want to stay with it longer because it is not simple tiredness. It is a particular quality of being depleted that people who are naturally attentive to others know very well. It is the depletion that comes from years, and for many of you, decades, of being the one in your relationships who monitors the emotional temperature of the room, who adjusts, who notices when someone else is uncomfortable and does something about it before they even ask, who gives more than they receive and has learned to call that love, to call that strength, to call that simply being a good person, and you are a good person. That is not in question. What is in question is the cost. Because that kind of care, the constant, effortful, vigilant kind, has a physical address. It lives in your shoulders, which have been tight for longer than you can remember. It lives in your jaw, which you clench in your sleep. It lives in the strange heaviness in your chest that arrives right around dusk, when the day is not quite over, but your reserves already are. You know this heaviness. You have learned to carry it forward into the evening, into the conversation at dinner, into the effort of being present when your insides are already quiet and still. The second thing is a dream quality that has been different lately. You may not be having literal unusual dreams, though some of you are. Old faces, old places, a house you lived in long ago with a room in it that you are suddenly re-exploring. But even if your sleep has been flat and dreamless, there is a residue. You wake with something on you, something atmospheric, a mood without a source, An emotional weather that arrived while you were unconscious and is still there when you make your coffee and begin the day. For some of you, it is a low-grade sadness, the kind that is not sharp enough to cry about, but sits just below the surface of everything. For some, it is a restlessness that feels like wanting something without knowing what. For some, it is an intermittent grief, not for a loss you can point to, but for something older, something more diffuse, something that sounds, if you listen to it carefully, like a life not fully lived. The third thing is the way people around you have been feeling slightly off. Not wrong, not bad, just slightly not fitting right. Conversations that require more effort than they used to. Relationships where you are saying the right things and performing the right warmth, but something in you is behind glass. A kind of internal withdrawal that you have not spoken aloud because it feels like a failure of love. You are still showing up. You are still present. But some part of you is watching from a quiet distance, and you are aware of the distance even when no one else is. This is not coldness. It is not detachment in the clinical sense. It is something else, a kind of gathering inward, a pulling back of energy toward something. You do not yet know toward what. But something in you is recollecting itself, and it has been doing this quietly for weeks. The fourth thing is a recurring thought. It comes in different forms, but the underneath of it is the same. The thought is some version of, "Is this it?" Not said in despair, or not only in despair. Said in a very honest, very quiet corner of your interior that has been observing your life with a kind of clinical clarity. Is this the shape of what I am doing? Is this arrangement? In my relationship, in my family, in the way I show up for work, in the way I have organized my energy and time, is this the shape I actually want? The thought arrives and you may dismiss it. You may pick up your phone or make your tea or find something that needs doing. But it comes back. The thought is patient. It has been patient for a long time. The fifth thing, and this one is important, is a kind of clarity that appears briefly and then recedes. A moment, sometimes in the shower or while driving, or in the 10 minutes before you fall asleep, when something becomes very clear. A decision you need to make, a truth you have been circling, a version of yourself that you abandoned somewhere in the middle of this life and have not been back to find. The clarity comes clean and bright, and then, because it asks something of you, because it requires a change you are not ready to make, because it threatens something you still depend on, it becomes complicated, and you let it go complicated. You are good at making things complicated. You have been making the simple things complicated for a long time, because simple was always too demanding. All of this, the fatigue, the dream residue, the internal distance, the recurring question, the brief clarity, has been happening in the approach to this conjunction, and none of it is accident. The North Node in Aries, with the Sun now moving into exact alignment, is activating the single most persistent pattern in your relational life. The pattern that you already know about, that you have probably talked about in therapy or in journals, or in long, honest conversations with yourself at 3 in the morning. You know the pattern. What you have not yet known is the exit. Tomorrow, the sky is showing you the door. Let me tell you what is happening in the sky on April 1st and 2nd, and I am going to tell it to you in a way that moves through your body, not over your head. The North Node is not a planet. It is not a physical object you could point to in the sky. It is a mathematical point, the place where the Moon's orbital path crosses the Sun's orbital path as seen from Earth. And in astrology, this crossing point is considered one of the most important positions in the chart, because it marks the direction of growth. The North Node is where your soul, and I use that word loosely as a container for whatever you understand yourself to be at the deepest level, where your soul is being asked to develop in this lifetime, not where it is comfortable. Not where it has been before, where it is growing toward. Right now, the North Node is in Aries. And Aries is the sign of the self, the individual, the one who acts from their own center, who wants what they want without apology, who initiates, who goes first, who says I before we. This is the direction the karmic path is pointing, toward self-possession, toward the fire of individual agency, toward a more direct, more honest, more personally sovereign way of being in the world, and directly opposite it, the South Node sits in Libra. The South Node is the past. Not the personal past only, but the deep past, the accumulated patterns of relating that have become second nature. And Libra is the sign of relationship, of balance, of the exquisite sensitivity to the other person, the awareness of their needs, the impulse toward harmony. The South Node in Libra describes the pattern you have mastered so thoroughly it has become your default, the pattern of placing the relationship itself above your own truth, of disappearing, just slightly, just enough, just often enough that the dynamic stays smooth, of being the one who reaches, who adjusts, who finds the middle, who makes the peace, who swallows the thing that needs to be said because saying it might cost too much. This is a mastered pattern. Mastered does not mean bad. It means you have been doing it so long it does not feel like a choice anymore. It feels like your personality. It feels like love. It feels like maturity. It feels like wisdom. And in some forms it has been all of those things. But in the context of your actual life, in the relationships that matter most to you, it has also been a very slow and very quiet way of leaving yourself. The door in the wall. You have always known it was there. There are places in every person's psyche where you can feel the outline of something that has been papered over, painted over, plastered over, with reasonable explanations. The door does not ask you to blow up your life. It asks you to stop pretending it is not there, to stop picking up the brush, to stand in front of it and let yourself see the shape of it clearly, possibly for the first time, without immediately moving to cover it again. The Sun in Aries, moving into exact conjunction with the North Node, is light falling directly on that door. The Sun is consciousness. It illuminates what it touches. When it meets the North Node, what it illuminates is not a problem or a crisis. It is a direction you may have been resisting, not because you do not want it, but because wanting it requires admitting what you have been sacrificing to avoid it. There is something important that happened last year that set up this moment. The nodal axis moved into Aries and Libra in July of 2023. Since then, you have been in an 18-month period of karmic renegotiation in the domain of relationship and self. The eclipses on this axis have been stripping away the arrangements that were held together by obligation rather than genuine love, by habit rather than genuine desire, by the fear of aloneness rather than the actual presence of connection. Some of you have already seen this clearly in the form of endings, relationships that concluded, roles that dissolved, versions of yourself that you finally stopped performing. Others of you have seen it as escalating pressure, the same dynamic becoming more compressed, more acute, less sustainable, the gap between what you feel and what you express becoming harder to bridge. Either way, you have been in it, and tomorrow is not the beginning of that process. Tomorrow is a moment of concentrated light on everything that process has been building toward. I want to tell you now what this transit is asking, not what it will deliver, not what you will gain. What it is asking. It is asking you to locate the version of yourself that exists prior to relationship, not in opposition to relationship, not instead of love, not instead of care, but underneath it, before you became someone's partner, someone's parent, someone's reliable one, before the adjustments began. There is a self there that wants things, that has direction, that has fire in it, that does not require the permission or approval of another person to exist. The North Node in Aries is asking you to feel the weight of that self, to let it have volume, to stop managing it down to a size that fits more comfortably into the arrangements that have accumulated around you. That is what the sky is asking. And the asking is not gentle, but the direction is clear. Now I want to take you somewhere, not away from where you are, deeper into it. Because what is happening in these days is not a surface event. It is a journey that has been underway in you for a very long time, and this transit is the moment when the path becomes visible enough to follow. The breaking open that you are experiencing right now is not the same as breaking down. I need you to hold that distinction inside your body for a moment, because for a person of your age and experience, someone who has spent decades building real stability, real structure, real relationships, the feeling of things loosening can be terrifying. You have earned what you have. You have paid for what you have. The children, the home, the career, the long relationship, the reputation for being reliable and warm and present. These did not come free. They came at the cost of years of sustained effort, of showing up when you did not want to show up, of being the steady one when the steady one was needed. The last thing you want is to see any of that dissolve. But this is not dissolution. This is the difference between a shell cracking and the thing inside the shell being destroyed. The shell is cracking. What is inside it has been growing, quietly, steadily, for a very long time. And it has grown to the point where the shell cannot contain it anymore. That is the pressure you are feeling. Not collapse, not loss. The inside of you becoming too large for the outside arrangement that has been containing it. And the outside arrangement, your relationships, your roles, your daily structures, is not the enemy of that growth. It is simply no longer the whole story. The inside of you is insisting on being part of the story too. When you were younger, and I mean this in terms not just of age, but of the stage of life you were in, the stage when you were building, accruing, establishing, it made sense to organize yourself around the relationship, around the family, around the career structure, around the expectations of the people who mattered to you. There was a logic to the compression. There was a payoff in the belonging. And the compression did not cost as much then as it does now, because you were still in the process of formation. You had not yet fully understood what was being given up. Now you understand. That is the change. Not the outside circumstances, though those are shifting too. The inside understanding. You cannot unknow what you know, and what is rising in you right now, in the dreams, in the mood that arrives with no source, in the recurring question, is old. I want you to hear this clearly. What is surfacing is not new. It is not a new problem, a new discontent, a new need. It is something very old. It is the original version of yourself that knew what it wanted before it learned to want less, before it learned to manage its own desire down to a size that would be acceptable, before it learned that the cost of wanting fully was too high in the environment it was navigating. That original self did not die. It went quiet. It waited. And it has been waiting with extraordinary patience for the moment when the person it lives inside has enough experience, enough groundedness, enough hard-won clarity to receive it without being destroyed by it. That moment is now. There is something specific about old grief that rises in a nodal transit like this that I want to name carefully, because it is easy to misidentify. When something old surfaces, and it is rising in many of you right now in various forms, the first instinct is to locate its cause, to say, I am grieving this particular loss, this particular ending, this particular absence. And sometimes that is accurate, but more often at this age and in this kind of transit, what is rising is a grief that precedes the named loss. It is the grief of the version of yourself that was set aside. Not destroyed, not rejected. Set aside quietly out of a practical necessity that made complete sense at the time. You were 28 or 34, and you had made certain choices, certain commitments, certain arrangements, and within those arrangements there was not quite enough room for the full-sized version of your desire. So you made it smaller. You edited the dream a little. You made the need less visible. You found ways to feel almost fine with almost enough. And the grief I am describing is not the grief of what you lost outwardly. It is the grief of the almost, of the fine that was not quite fine, of the years inside the almost. That grief is ancient and accurate, and it is rising now because it is time. Not to destroy what you have built, but to be witnessed, to be named, to be held by the version of you that is now old enough and steady enough to hold it without collapsing. The pattern I want to name, the one this nodal axis has been asking you to see, has appeared in your life in many forms, but it always has the same structure underneath. It is the pattern of disappearing into connection, not consciously, not dramatically, quietly. The pattern where you enter a relationship, whether romantic or familial or professional, and within that relationship, you gradually become less of yourself. Your preferences soften toward theirs. Your needs become negotiable where theirs are not. Your time becomes available where theirs is protected. Your discomfort becomes something you manage privately, where their discomfort becomes something you move quickly to resolve. You did not plan this. You are not weak. This pattern is not the signature of a damaged person. It is the signature of a person who learned very early that love and approval and safety were conditional on a particular kind of smallness, on not taking up too much space, on being the one who holds, not the one who needs holding. And you got very good at it. You got so good at it that it became invisible, to you as much as to the people around you. The people around you may not even know they have been the beneficiary of it. They may experience you as giving, generous, steady. They may love you genuinely. The pattern does not mean the love is false. It means the cost of the love has been unevenly distributed. And for a person in their 50s who has been carrying that unevenness for 30 or 40 years, the body now knows the full weight of what it has been holding. The fatigue is not metaphorical. The tightness in the shoulders is not symbolic. This is the actual physical cost of the pattern, accumulated over decades and now making itself impossible to ignore. There is a specific way this pattern has shown up in the domain of desire. Not only romantic desire, but the wider desire of wanting your life to mean something particular to you, personally, specifically. You have wanted things. You may have wanted them quietly, may have wanted them carefully, may have had them only in the interior where they were safe. A creative life that was put on hold for a more practical one. A direction in work that was more alive than the one chosen. A way of living that felt more honest, but required too much disruption to pursue. A version of a relationship that had more honesty in it, more genuine friction and genuine intimacy than the managed warmth that replaced it. These desires did not disappear when they were set aside. They compacted. And what you may be feeling right now, that restlessness, that low-grade unnamed grief, that sense of something wanting to burst through, is the pressure of compacted desire pressing against the walls of the arrangement that was built to contain it. The desire is not asking you to upend your life. It is asking to be acknowledged, to be named, to stop being treated as the irresponsible voice, the impractical one, the one that cannot be accommodated. It has been the truest voice in you for a long time. It has simply been the least listened to. The North Node in Aries is asking you to understand the difference between care and self-erasure. These two things can coexist for a very long time in the same person before they become distinguishable. Care is what you do because you genuinely want to. Self-erasure is what you do because you are afraid of what will happen to the relationship if you stop. The fear is real. It deserves acknowledgement. But fear is not a foundation. And a relationship, or a way of being in relationship, that is held together primarily by one person's managed smallness, is not the depth of connection it appears to be from the outside. Here is the disorienting place, the in-between. And I want to stay here with you because this is the part that most scripts rush past, and rushing past it is a kind of abandonment that I refuse to do to you. You do not yet know who you are on the other side of the pattern. You have been this person, the one who holds, the one who adjusts, the one who makes the peace, for so long that the pattern has become identity. Not all of your identity, but a significant organizing feature of it. And when an organizing feature begins to loosen, the question that arises is not just what do I do differently? The question is, who am I? And that question at 52 or 57 or 61, after a life built around a particular set of structures, is not a small question. It is enormous. It is disorienting in a way that younger people have less context for, because younger people have not yet had the experience of discovering that an identity they had fully inhabited was a partial truth. You have earned the knowledge that identities can be outgrown, which means you also know the grief of that. The grief is real. Let it be real. The Tuesday of this in-between looks like this. You make your coffee. You go through the motions of the day that has always been the day. And there are moments, and brief, recurring, where something feels slightly wrong in the way a shoe fits wrong, a small but constant friction that you cannot quite adjust away. There is nothing dramatically different, and yet something is not the same. The arrangement that used to feel like home now feels not bad, not wrong, but slightly too small, like a room you have outgrown while you were sleeping in it. You did not move. The room did not shrink. You grew. Quietly in the night, over years, while you were busy being someone who holds things together, you grew. And now you are noticing the new dimensions of yourself pressing against the old walls. This is not evidence of a failed life. This is evidence of a life that has been honest enough at its depths to keep growing underneath the arrangements. Not everyone grows. Some people close over. You have not closed over. Something in you has remained open and reaching, even while the surface was performing steadiness. That openness is what this transit is now touching, and I want to name the specific quality of loneliness that lives inside this in-between, because it is one of the least spoken about experiences of this life stage, and one of the most common. It is not loneliness for a person, it is loneliness for yourself. The version of you that is waiting on the other side of the pattern, the one with full-size desire and honest needs, and a willingness to be seen in the truth of your experience, that version feels very far away right now. You can sense it, but you cannot quite reach it. You are still inside the old shape even as the old shape is loosening, and the loneliness of being in that position, of knowing clearly who you are not yet, while only dimly sensing who you are becoming, is its own particular grief. It does not fit neatly into any category. You are not grieving a relationship, not grieving a loss you can name to another person. You are grieving the distance between who you are performing and who you actually are. That is the loneliness. It is real. And it is a loneliness that will ease, not through someone arriving to fill it, but through you arriving to yourself. That is what the North Node in Aries has been trying to tell you all along. The first light is not a decision. It is not a plan. It does not look like clarity in the way you might hope. A clean revelation about what to do, who to leave, where to go. It looks smaller and more quiet than that, and yet it is more substantial than anything dramatic could be. The first light is a moment or a series of moments where you feel very briefly, very cleanly, the sensation of your own center, the gravitational pull of your own preferences, your own desires, your own sense of what is right, unmediated by the anticipation of someone else's response. It is the feeling of knowing what you want before you edit it, before you translate it into something more acceptable, before you begin the negotiation with the imagined objection. It arrives and it is brief, and then the habit closes back in. But it arrived, and you felt it. And there is a difference between a person who has never felt it and a person who has felt it and is now learning to let it stay a little longer each time. You are in the second category now. You have always been, if you are honest, but the feeling was faint for a long time. Too faint to trust, too faint to act on. The sun on the North Node is intensifying it, making it legible. Here is what the first light actually feels like in the life of a person aged 50 or 55 or 60. It does not feel like dawn. It is more subtle than that. It feels like the moment when you are in a conversation, and you notice before you speak that you are about to say something you do not actually believe, and for the first time in a long time, you pause. Not long enough for anyone else to notice. A breath's worth of pause. But inside that breath, you make a different choice. You say the thing that is actually true, or you say nothing, or you name that you are not sure what you think, rather than performing the confident answer. That pause, that breath, that tiny deviation from the script you have been running, that is the first light. It is the door opening by just a crack, enough to feel the air from the other side, not enough to see through, but enough to know the door is real and the air is real and the other side exists. The door in the wall has always been there. This is the first time in a long time that you are standing in front of it in good light, able to see the whole shape of it clearly, able to trace the outline of what has been there, waiting this entire time. You do not have to open it today, but you do have to stop pretending it is wallpaper. The new steadiness that is beginning to form underneath the dissolution is not certainty. Certainty was the old thing. The certainty of knowing your role, knowing your place in the arrangement, knowing exactly what was required of you and delivering it. That was a kind of stability, but it was the stability of a held breath. What is forming now is different. It is the quiet knowledge that you can tell the truth about your own experience and not be destroyed by that telling, that you can want more and not have that wanting make you a bad person, that you can be loved, actually loved, not managed with love, for the full-sized version of yourself rather than the edited one. This knowing does not arrive all at once. It arrives in small accumulating moments of not collapsing when you were afraid you would, of saying the true thing and discovering the world did not end, of letting yourself be seen, briefly, in the clarity of your actual desire, and surviving it. Our direction is becoming perceptible, not a destination. You are too experienced to mistake the feeling of direction for the certainty of destination. But a direction, a leaning, a sense of which way feels like toward, which way feels like away from, and a growing willingness to orient by that sense rather than by the external map of what has always been expected of you. Now I want to offer you 3 practices for these specific days, not generic spiritual suggestions. 3 things that are designed exactly for what April 1st and 2nd are activating in you. The first practice is what I would call the unedited moment. At least once on each of these 2 days, catch yourself in the act of pre-editing a desire or need before expressing it. Notice the adjustment happening, the moment where you feel something, know something, want something, and then translate it into something smaller, something more palatable, something more likely to land without friction. Just notice it. You do not need to express the unedited version, not yet, but notice the gap between the original impulse and the version you sent. That gap has a name. The name is what this transit is asking you to learn. Sit with the size of it. Let yourself feel how long you have been living in the gap rather than in the original. This practice requires no confrontation, no conversation, no drama. It requires only honest interior attention, which is something you already know how to do. The resistance that will arise is the resistance of someone who has built a significant life on the other side of that gap and is afraid of what seeing it clearly will require. The resistance is real. See it clearly too. It is part of the same pattern. Acknowledge it and return to the noticing. The second practice is the relationship inventory, not as a document, not as a list, but as a body scan. Sit still for 10 minutes and bring to mind, one at a time, the significant relationships in your life. Not to evaluate them or judge them or decide anything about them. Simply to notice how your body responds as each one is brought to mind. Where does your chest go? What happens in your shoulders? Is there relief or is there a kind of bracing? Does the energy in your body expand or contract? The body has been keeping score on this for years. It already knows things your thinking mind has been carefully managing. This practice is not about acting on what the body tells you. It is about receiving the information it has been storing. The North Node in Aries is the energy of direct, self-referent knowing, of trusting the interior signal before running it through the filter of what it might cost. You have been running it through the filter for a long time. For 2 days, let the body speak first. Just listen. What arises may be uncomfortable. It is not coming to destabilize you. It is coming because you are ready. The third practice is for the relational dimension of this transit directly, because Venus, the ruler of Libra, where the South Node sits, is also in late Aries right now, and the question this activates is the question of worth. Specifically, where in your financial life, your creative life, your professional life, are you pricing yourself, your time, your energy, your presence, below what you actually know yourself to be worth? Not in abstract terms, in the specific terms of what you charge, what you accept, what you allow, how much of yourself you give in exchange for how much acknowledgement. The South Node pattern of erasure shows up in transactions as well as in emotions. It shows up in how long you wait before asking for what you need, in how quickly you accept less than you asked for, in how often the word fine is used to describe an arrangement that is not actually fine. On April 1st and 2nd, one small adjustment in the direction of accurate self-valuation is worth more than a large dramatic gesture made in the wrong direction. Find the one place where you have been saying fine when you mean not fine. That is where to start. The resistance to this practice is the oldest form of the resistance, the fear that asking for what you are worth will make you seem difficult, demanding, too much. That fear is Libra South Node speaking. The North Node in Aries says, ask anyway. Now let me speak directly to the signs who are most activated by this event. If your sun, moon, or rising is in Aries, the North Node is sitting in your sign, and the sun is coming to meet it in your house of self. This is the most direct activation of the karmic pattern available right now. You may have felt in recent months a strange urgency about becoming more fully yourself, as though time is pressing in a way it hasn't before. This conjunction is not pushing you toward an identity you have to construct. It is illuminating the one that was there before the accommodations began. You are not building something new. You are recovering something old. If your sun, moon, or rising is in Libra, the South Node has been sitting in your sign, and you may have experienced the past year as a series of relationship confrontations, moments where the arrangement that felt like balance was revealed as imbalance. The Sun-North Node conjunction opposite your sign is asking you to release the version of love that requires your disappearance as the price of entry. Genuine connection can hold the full size of you. If it cannot, it is not the connection it appeared to be. If your sun, moon, or rising is in Cancer or Capricorn, this nodal axis forms a square to your sign, and the activation is one of tension and necessary friction. The square is not punishment. It is the productive difficulty of being asked to grow in a direction that is perpendicular to your natural orientation. Cancer's instinct is to hold, to protect, to maintain. Capricorn's instinct is to build, to sustain, to endure. Both of these instincts, when applied to a pattern that has outlived its usefulness, become the very mechanism of staying stuck. The tension you are feeling is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the feeling of growth moving against an old shape. The sky has been lit this way over April 1st and 2nd, and now I want to bring you all the way home. Do you remember the beginning of this? The hour before dawn when the house is quiet and the question arrives without words, only shape. That question is still there. It was there before you pressed play, and it will be there when you close this window. It does not go away because it has been answered and you refuse the answer. It stays because it is true. Because at some level beneath everything you have built and maintained and protected and performed, you already know the answer. You have always known the answer. The question was never really a question. It was an invitation repeated patiently in the hour before dawn, across more years than you would like to count. The door in the wall is visible now. The sun on the North Node has lit it in full. You can see the grain of the wood. You can see the handle. You can see that it has been there your whole adult life, painted over so many times that the paint is thick, the original color long forgotten underneath. But the door itself is intact. The door itself has never not been there. You do not have to walk through it today. You do not have to make any decision by morning. The transit does not demand a dramatic act of self-liberation by midnight. What it asks, what the North Node in Aries with the full light of the sun on it is genuinely asking, is only this: stop painting. Just for now. Put down the brush, stand in front of what you have been covering, and let yourself see it. The seeing is the beginning. The seeing is enough. Everything else follows from the honest seeing. You are not who you were 10 years ago. You are not even who you were at the beginning of this nodal cycle 18 months ago. The work has been happening, whether or not it felt like work. Something in you has been getting ready for exactly this window, exactly this light, exactly this moment of the sky, showing you the shape of what has always been true. The fact that you stayed for 40 minutes, that you gave this time to the interior life, to the quiet work of looking honestly at your patterns, at your relationships, at the version of yourself that has been waiting to be recovered, that is not a small thing. At 50, at 55, at 60, after a life spent being the one who takes care of the external world, turning inward with genuine attention is a specific and significant act of courage. It deserves acknowledgement. You deserve acknowledgement. If this moved something in you, leave a comment with the words, "The door is visible." It is different from where you began, because you are different from where you began. Like this video if it reached somewhere true, and subscribe if you want to keep doing this work together. The sky keeps moving. There will be more moments of light. This transit, this Sun-conjunct North Node in Aries, it is not asking you to become a new person. It is asking you to return to the original one, the one who existed before the first accommodation, before the first piece of yourself was set aside for someone else's comfort. That person is not lost. They are not buried. They are standing just inside a door that has always been in the wall, and the light is on, and the handle is right there. Go gently. Go honestly. Go toward yourself.